talking about it on here. Expect exciting conversations. Also, we're very much active on all our streaming platforms, so you can join us on Facebook and on YouTube and communicate with us as we go through these stories. It's Thursday, which means it's Open Mic Thursday, and so whatever conversation or whatever contribution you were denied from participating in, and when I say denied, I mean you were not able to reach us via the phones, too many people calling at once, I wasn't able to get through your message, or Lady Mo, whatever the case might have been from Monday up until now, Thursday gives you an opportunity to double back on that particular story and talk to us about it. But that doesn't happen until 8:40 a.m. For now, we're just looking at the papers and providing you with analysis. Fuad Said joins us via the phone as always to talk about these reports. Good morning, Fuad Said. I hope you're well.
Yes, I'm good, Sid. How are you doing?
I'm well. Good morning. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into the papers very quickly. We do have here the trending report on all of the dailies, actually. The Electoral Act Amendment Bill passes third reading. Senate retains existing provision on result transmission. Now, we have here the Senate has passed the Electoral Act 2022 Repeal and Reenactment Amendment Bill through the third reading. It, however, did not approve the proposed amendment to Clause 60, subsection 3 of the bill, which sought to make the electronic transmission of election results mandatory. The rejected provision would have required presiding officers of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to electronically transmit results from each polling unit to the IREF portal in real time after the prescribed form ECNA had been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and countersigned by candidate. The Senate adopted the existing provision of the Electoral Act, which states that the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including the total number of accredited voters and result of the ballot, in a manner as prescribed by the Commission. Now, some other adjustments were made, including the punishment for those who buy and sell permanent voters card under Clause 22. Now, there was a provision or a recommendation to increase the jail term from 2 years to 10 years. However, the Senate rejected that part, maintained the prison term at 2 years, but increased the fine from 2 million naira to 5 million naira. They also amended Clause 28 on the notice of election, reducing the timeline from 360 days to 180 days. For aside, if you permit me, let me just play the closing part of the Senate President's speech regarding this rejection of the electronic transmission of results, and then we will get your analysis on their resolution. Please stay with us.
Next election, all questions connected with the next election will be answered by the amendments to the Electoral Act 2022. But the social media already is awash with the fact that the Senate has rejected electronic transmission. That is not true. That is not true. Electronic transmission had always been in our act. And what we did was to return the electronic transmission, which had been in our act and which was used in 2022. So please do not allow people to confuse you. If you are in doubt, we will make up our final votes and proceedings available to you if you apply and you are entitled, so that you will see. This Senate, under my watch, has not rejected electronic transmission of results. It's in my interest as a participant in the next election for such to be done. So please don't go with the crowd. Don't go with the crowd. We have retained what was in the previous provision. That's all we did. So if we rejected what was proposed by way of amendment and said, let's retain what was in the previous provision, the previous provision had made had made provision for electronic transmission. So it is still there as part of our laws. And I think we should be moving forward, not moving backwards. There is no way we can...
Welcome back. For outside there, you have the Senate President saying social media is awash, that the Senate had rejected the electronic transmission of results. However, all we did was retain the 2022 provision, which of course allows INEC to transmit results in a manner that they prescribed, as opposed to the amendment that makes electronic transmission of results mandatory. What are your comments on these adjustments, Fuad?
Um, say, again, this is not coming as a surprise. My own opinion and outlook of this 10th National Assembly is clear. I've said this severally. This 10th National Assembly will go down in history as the worst so far in our democratic experiment in this Fourth Republic. There's no doubt about that. And that's well established. We can have arguments about it. This 10th National Assembly, this rubber stamp assembly, this on your mandatory stand National Assembly will go down in history as the worst ever that we've ever produced in this democratic experiment. Now, when you listen, and I'm happy that you played the soundbite of this.
We did not reject it. We just retained what was there. That's
what are people called demanding for? Wait. Now, see. Luckily, you have this story in all of the papers.
Yeah.
And there's an operative word. There's a major clause that people are demanding for, and that major clause was the reason why a lot of people till today question the last election, right?
Yes.
And what is that thing?
Mandating electronic
Making it mandatory. So what is this anybody stop? When they kept dancing around social media, we said what was are we showing up, baby? What was he saying?
Do like this.
No, it just kept going on and on. We are not, look, we all knew what happened in the last election. The fact that, look, we eventually discovered that, yes, the Electoral Act are giving INEC the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
To what ends? You now begin to realize that, look, statements are not made in isolation. It must be complete for it to have effect. It was not at the tribunals and at the courts, even at the level of Supreme Court, that we now later knew that, look, as it is put in the Electoral 2022, it was not mandatory. Bro, you don't understand what I'm saying.
I'm with you.
Yes, it gives the opportunity for INEC to electronically transmit results. But there are also clauses that, look, it is not compulsory, it is not mandatory. You could use any other way. This is allowed in any other way. And so we eventually got to know that, look, this was not mandatory. It was just a guideline that INEC could adopt in putting out its own results. And now look at this. So the idea was to make it mandatory. That was what Nigerians were calling for, right? That it should not just be a mere guideline. And so Sage, that soundbite you played, what exactly was the Senate president saying? Maybe you had it too now.
I did.
What exactly did he say?
That they did not reject. I'll just repeat you what I said. We did not reject it. We just retained what was in 2022 Electoral Act.
So what was the thing about the 2022 Electoral Act about transmitting results that people were talking about? They were talking about what the need to transmit real time. For so reasons and so reasons. So we think it will be difficult for us to make it what? Mandatory. And we cannot begin to rationalize that as okay, it might be difficult to say across the whole country that there should be what? Real-time transmission of results from the polling unit, and making it mandatory could cause problems for the entire election. Then we cannot begin to look at, okay, it will be difficult to we have the tech. If you look at it, the social media is our one show that we have rejected it, we have not rejected it, we have only retained what is kilo week go. I think people are just there faffing around, just making people look like stupid people.
Well, first I
number one, they delayed the entire process till this time. And now look at where we are. It's a social media and don't follow the crowd. I think what they are ᴜᴜ and the other areas where they have even amended now.
Yes.
Those are areas that at the end of the day, the reality is that is anybody going to arrest anybody and prosecute anybody in reality? sake.
Well, they had hoped
This should not vote by.
Fuad, well, the Nigerians had hoped that if the punishment was stiffer, it would act as a deterrent, and that's why they were proposing 10 years imprisonment rather than 2 years. But the Senate says, let's keep it at 2 years, just the fine. Instead of 2 million, let's make it 5 million.
See, crimes that carry capital punishment, are people not still committing it?
I think they're even committing it more now.
The psychology of the human being has shown that, look, the stiffer the crime does not mean it will reduce the number of people committing the crime. So what you need to do is to even ensure that they don't have a way to even commit the crime. Because the fact that the punishment is stiffer does not mean people will still not commit the crime. We've seen this every. But what we are saying is that, look, there were critical areas. We have talked about the need for us to have a complete, what you call a holistic amendment of the Electoral Act. You understand?
Yeah.
And we have talked about, look, a committee recommendation that is available to work with. So if we are not even ready to take the entire recommendation of that committee, but there are critical areas that Nigerians have complained about since we conducted the last election. There's also the aspect of completing all election litigation matters before swearing in. What do you hear about that?
I don't see anything. I don't think they debated that section, or at least it's not in the papers. It wasn't reported.
That's what I'm saying. That, look, so what you just have is this piecemeal. Look, from what you have read now, the aspects of because of time, we may not be able to go through everything. But from the major,
I think the most prominent thing is that reducing timeline of the election notice.
Yeah, for the elections to be announced.
Yeah.
Instead of 360 and 180 days, Abby.
Yes.
I think what is that? How has that changed anything? If I neglect, let them announce the election a day to the election. There are critical areas that Nigerians are interested in. And that was for you to know that what they are doing. You could see that was exactly the aspect that he addressed. And he addressed it by saying so many things without saying anything. He went on and on and on and on and on. The idea omitted it, which was what the Nigerians were calling for. If we cannot do it mandatorily at this time, let us have an explanation as to why we may not be able to do it now. But not for you to now begin to say people should not follow social media. Are we foolish? Are we stupid? You just sit back there, overfed, overpampered, overtaken care of, and they begin to insult the general sensibilities of the people. What kind of representative of these people are the people are this one? When they started this on your mandate, you shall stand singing in national state. I knew that we're going to run into trouble with these guys. People that constitutionally have been mandated to do the job of checks and balances under the doctrine of separation of powers are the same set of people singing on your mandate, which shall stand. Don't you know we are in trouble? And what the constitution, you should work with the mindset of what? Checks and balances. Operating under the doctrine of what? Separation of powers. And then they see the leader of the executive arm of government and they sing on your mandate, which shall stand. What are they telling you? Say it.
The independence becomes questioned. The independence of legislation.
It becomes questionable. But this is here for all of us to see.
Well, senators have said that for them to carry out their responsibility of checks and balances, it doesn't have to be adversarial in approach. They don't always have to be at loggerheads with the executive just to prove that they are carrying out their responsibility.
It's not a boxing match. Nobody has told them to begin to box themselves and fight themselves. What we are saying is that look at the checks and what?
Balances.
For the common good of what? Of the people. So that's one of those. They don't have to be. We have told them to be adversarial. We are saying that they should do their job. Check the SSCs of other arms of government. That's what we are saying.
Well, for outside, we have other reports. We're looking at the Punch newspaper. Please join the live stream, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can start to drop your submission. We've seen quite a number of messages. We'll do the best we can to read them before we get into the most recent report that we'll get at 8:40 a.m. We're still looking at the Punch newspaper. We have Kwara massacre. Federal government faces heat as 100 feared dead. Over 100 people were feared dead on Tuesday night following a deadly attack on Wuro and Nuku communities in Kayama local government area of Kwara State by Islamic militants, while several people were also killed by bandits pounced on Abande community in Mbakyo Ward, Turan Kwande local government area of Benue State. Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak, however, confirmed the death of 75 persons. The governor disclosed the figure on Wednesday night while addressing residents at the palace of the Emir of Kayama, explaining that the victims were local Muslims massacred for refusing to surrender to extremists preaching a strange doctrine. He added that President Bola Tinubu had approved the immediate deployment of an army battalion to the area to prosecute counter-offensives codenamed Operation Savannah Ashid. The lawmaker representing the area, Mohammed Bio, says that they don't really have a confirmation on the exact figure. Some say 100 persons killed, some reports say 160 killed, but for a fact people have been killed. In fact, about 70 have been buried in a mass grave in Wuro community on Wednesday afternoon. So residents told the Punch newspaper that these individuals had first been in Niger, where they started their preaching and trying to indoctrinate locals. However, for the locals who resisted, they became annoyed. They opened fire and started shooting at that particular gathering indiscriminately, which led to the death of, well, according to reports, 100, 160, but ultimately at least 70 persons have been buried in a mass graves, with more mass burial to happen.
Sage.
Yes.
There are days you look at yourself and ask yourself, why are you even in this profession? Because again, you wake up every day and the report of the story is just, this way just spoils your day. You wake up, you open the papers, you read the reports, and you begin to have, from that moment, you know it's going to be a tough day because of what keeps coming to mind and the reality of you having to read everything that is around that particular report. You want to take all of the angles. What are the community members who are affected saying, family members saying, what is the government saying, what are the security operatives saying? So by the time you aggregate and put everything together, it can't just be a normal day for you. Sage, in this same country, just about 2-3 weeks ago, we are still talking about the fact that more than 100 people are still in the kidnappers' den, bandits' den in Kaduna State, Southern Kaduna. This has come. We might begin to talk about the figures, whether it is 100, 160, 170. But as yesterday, the governor has confirmed that 75 persons have been
buried,
massacred. The mass grave.
Yeah.
Now, and they fingered them, said these are the Lakora guys.
Yeah.
I've gone into a community in Kwara State. There's this problem of border communities between Kwara and Niger State. Mostly the affected areas mostly now are areas bordering Niger and parts of Kogi State. So you have these guys operating freely, almost according to the reports. And so the communities rejected this indoctrination of what is reported as extreme Islamic preachings. And so because of that, Sage, they decided to kill all of them. Remember that when this whole story of Lakwara group started, it started from which state? If you remember, Sage? From Sokoto State. That was the first state where we got the report that there's a new group of terrorist organization that has come into the country. And they said they started to operate from Sokoto State. Sage, how they moved from Sokoto to enter Niger to now start to kill people in Kwara? It's a question the government would have to answer. Because for it to have been reported that there's a new terrorist group that has come into the country operating in Sokoto State, meant that we already knew about them.
Yeah.
So, say that, are you following me?
I'm with you.
And look at where we are now. We wake up every night. I talked about it yesterday. That, you see, unless we have become abnormal people, this cannot just be normal. See, in fact, you know, if you look at the report very well, the killings are also, they also reported killings in Katsina State.
Yeah, even Benue.
Even in Benue. Let anybody come and tell me that this is normal. That we live in a country where people are killed in their hundreds, almost on a daily basis, and we want to accept it as normal. Oh, we should just talk about it, and then we do the same usual thing, right? The government puts out a statement, deploy troops to the area, and then another one happens again. The government puts out a statement, they deploy troops to the area again. I used to think that the best form of security is to move ahead of the criminals, to stop those attacks from happening. How well have we been able to do that? Say.
Quite poorly, based on the amount of casualties we see now.
Because it's not just to say, oh, the reality is that, look, it's almost like we are playing games with these theories. You secure one area, they move to another part of the community of the state.
Why is relocation so easy? Because they usually move in droves. Yes, they go with the entire. So why is relocation this easy?
God bless you for that question. That was why I told you that, look, about a year or so, about almost 2 years now, that we got a report that we now have a terrorist group called Lakurawa operating in the country. We've had ISWAP, Boko Haram, but this Lakurawa group are just coming and they started to operate in parts of Sokoto State. So how did they move? We got the intelligence at that time. We said we knew about them. So how did they move from Sokoto, Niger? Now they are even so emboldened, so brazen in their actions and activities that they are even preaching openly to people and forcing them to accept their extreme ridiculous views, doctrines, to the point where they can begin to massacre people at this level. So, like you just asked, how are they able to just move around freely? They come into communities, they abduct people in their hundreds, they move them out, no resistance, nothing happens. They go ahead, kill people. We don't hear that, look, there was anything to really stop the attack. Again, like I just told you, I don't know what else to say. Unfortunately, the people in government are busy deflecting. The people in government and their supporters are looking for who to blame. They want to pass the buck. They want to deflect. Oh, no, it is the governor that should be held responsible. No, it is the community people. Oh, you can't begin to blame the president for everything. And I just laugh. These were the people who put all of the blame, rightfully so, on the table of Jonathan when he was the president of the country. And I've said if there was one reason why Jonathan was voted out of power in 2015, it was because of the breakdown of security in parts of the country. Not even it was not even as widespread, if you remember. Say it. But look at where we are today. And we say, whether you talk about GDP, you talk about coastal road, you talk about whatever you want to talk about, everything comes secondary to build road. Who are the people alive to use the road? Let us even say you are able to build road. Everything that the government thinks it is doing, or it will do, or it has done, comes secondary to what? To the security of lives and properties of the people. It is the first job of any government in the world. And I repeat again, any government that fails to secure the lives and properties of the people has failed completely in every other thing. I really don't know. I don't know what else to say.
The fact that they're killing for sport is what is concerning Nigerians. It's not like any killing of any kind is allowed. But when they come, they kill, they take a few people, obviously, so they can negotiate with the government. But the last killings have been, the first one in Katsina was a reprisal attack because of the operations of security agents. They're like, oh, wow, you guys are now emboldened. You want to fight back. They go to these communities and kill people just to prove a point. And then we have these killings where they're trying to force people to get indoctrinated. The people say no, and then in broad daylight they open fire on a congregation because they're refusing to accept their own doctrines. And so far so good. We've not heard of any arrest or any resistance by security operatives. We would hope for more details regarding this issue. 100 people, that's a lot of people for outside. 70 people in the ground in the last 48 hours is a very scary thing to think about. Again, we're hoping that the response is as aggressive. The response by security agents is as aggressive.
So if you look at the report of Bangladesh, I think it's talking about, you should track, again, it's unfortunate that we are now tracking, the number of persons that have been killed in the country in a few days. We are not even talking about a year. So we now track and see in 1 week. I think the figure from what I've read in the Bangladesh is about 207.
Yeah, like 207.
In just 1 week, long.
Yeah.
Even in the war situation, in a complete situation where there's outright war, to begin to have that kind of numbers on a daily basis, Sage, I really don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. Just
our heart goes out to all of those that have lost someone. Some people have lost their entire families, actually, and it's heartbreaking. Trends in the papers. We're going to the Guardian newspaper. We have here, NNPC blames refinery failure on weak operations, not funding. The riders to that story, NMDPRA seeks optimization of Dangote refinery to meet petrol demand. Regulator operators project business-friendly sector reform to unlock outputs. Dangote refinery denies fuel import claim, cites global standard. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited yesterday in Abuja said the persistent failure of Nigeria's state-owned refineries were caused by poor operational capacity rather than lack of funding or engineering contractors. Speaking at the 2026 Nigerian International Energy Summit, NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer Bayo Ojulari repeated attempts to fix the plant had ended up destroying value, with billions of dollars spent on financing arrangement and engineering, procurement and construction contracts, while little attention was paid to how the facilities will be run over decades-long lifespan. He says, and I quote, "Everybody is focused on financing an EPC. The financiers get paid. The EPC contractor delivers and moves on. Then you're left for the next 20-30 years to run the refinery, and that is where we failed." For outside, Bayo Ojulari is saying it's not a lack of financial resources that is responsible for the derelict state of the refineries. It's mostly operational problems. When you hire contractors, they do their bids, they get paid, and they're gone. But what they need is somebody who can stay long-term arrangement. It's supposed to be a long-term partnership where, as you're fixing whatever is wrong with it, you're also there to supervise, you're also there to help with maintenance for a long time. So it's mostly operational challenges as opposed to the image of poor financing for the restructuring of those refineries.
So,
well, he's calling for.
You want to wait now, say. You want to read what he said again, quoting verbatim from the report, so that you understand where I'm going, with my analysis. He has said there's no operational areas. We cannot just operate those refineries.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying now.
Well, he did say.
Or is there any other thing to what he has said?
No. He says, we're not looking for money. We're looking for people who know how to run refineries. End quote.
So you don't have people who can run refineries in Nigeria. I wanted you to quote him. Now we have the money. We are looking for people who can run we cannot run the refineries. Really? Say it.
Sir?
Is that what he has just told us now?
Wow.
So the reason why Port Harcourt refinery is not working, Kaduna refinery is not working, Warri is not working, is because we have the money, we have but we cannot run it. We don't have people who can run it. Say, are we joking here? Or maybe there's something to the report that we are not saying. So how is Dangote running his own refinery?
He might.
He's using aliens, Abi.
He might have operators now.
You might have, are they not human beings?
You might have private special operators.
Everybody has to be that they are human beings.
Of course.
So all of the pen gassing, all of those unions, people, all the staff in the NNPC, the refinery, the engineers, you don't understand what I'm saying.
I'm with you.
So what are they doing there?
Maintaining.
Even Bayo Ojulari himself, what is he doing in that position? If it's what he's saying.
Overseeing.
Overseeing what?
The refinery.
Well, I don't know what to say. Because I've been waiting to hear from Mr. Bayo Ojulari something meaningful about the state of the refineries and the future for us on those refineries. But what he has told us now is that we have the money, but we don't know how to operate it. It went comatose. I mean, there were times in this country where the refineries were working.
Yeah, well, his argument is that a lot of these contractors, once it's working, they fix it, they stay a while, and they're gone. They don't stay long term, and that's why ultimately the refineries start failing.
No. The job of the contractors is to revamp, right? Are they supposed to stay back here? Okay, look, if it's about running, can we get expatriates to work with the refineries, with our local engineers?
Yeah, of course.
Are we saying that, look, when it comes to petrochemical engineering, what it takes to run refineries, we have people who don't, in the whole country, there are no people who understand how to run refineries? Is that what he's saying? That's what I'm asking. How is Dangote running his own refinery? Is he using aliens, spirits? Are there no human beings?
He said that it's not like they want to sell the refineries, but they're willing.
So what do they want to do now?
Equities and all, but not the refineries.
And what exactly is he saying? Sage.
Long-time partners.
I don't understand. What do you mean by, okay, we should get people to come and run the place?
Yes, for like a.
And so what's difficult in that one now? You don't understand what I'm saying.
Like, let me quote
the question you should be answering is that, is the place even viable for anything? Are we sure the refinery can even run? You know, if you say, oh, I have the money to buy this car, but I'm looking for who to drive it. The question is that, is the car even in a condition where it can be driven? Because I doubt that it is about the capacity to run the refinery. My mind is that, look, that refinery cannot even run anything.
Wow.
How can running the refinery be the problem? See, I'm surprised that is the problem. Wow. No, so that's the reason why we have not had functional refineries. That we don't know how to run it, not even the money.
He has.
No, you don't understand what I'm saying, Lucy.
Well, I just want to give you extra information. He has said that there are people, they're in talks, right, with some major Chinese refining company. They have technical team. They have a technical team, and in fact, the team will be visiting Nigeria's refinery soon enough, and so they're going to do equity devolution. They're willing to, well, I would say sell off.
Like a partnership.
Yes, something like that. So they have a team, a technical team that specializes in this, and they'll be
from China now. Abby.
Yes, from China, and they'll be working with them. Yes.
So what will they do now? Those ones who come and do what?
Run the refineries, and then they'll sell down equity to them, you know, to manage the refineries long.
They buy a part of it and run it.
Yeah, equity.
So when are those ones coming now?
He just says imminently. There's no specific time frame.
Okay, let's just move on. I'm tired. Let's just go. It's okay.
You know, be tired in Jesus' name. We have.
This refinery, but I'm tired. Let's just go. Let's just leave. It's fine. I'm sure people listening to us can just make their own mind up on this. They should take a decision on what they've heard about this story. I had my analysis at that point on that one.
I know that you still have plenty of things in your mind, but it's okay.
Unless there's nothing more to say. Trust me.
We have Nnamdi Kanu files 22 grounds of appeal, seeks to squash his judgment of the Federal High Court in Abuja, which sentenced him to life imprisonment. He was convicted on a 7-count terrorism charge the federal government preferred against him. In the notice of appeal he personally signed, insisted Kanu maintained that the trial judge erred the law by failing to resolve the procedural and competent consequence of justice, and given the particulars of the error, Kanu told the appellate court that in September 2017 his residence at Afara Uku was invaded during Operation Python Dance by Nigeria state agents, and the operation resulted in death and destruction and triggered disruption of earlier proceeding. Those are the basis, or those are the primary basis of his appeal. What you'd like to comment?
Well, again, this is a case in court, so but I just hope that this time Nnamdi Kanu will be more legal advice of people who can make him understand that, look, sometimes perception can be bigger than reality when it comes to even legal matters. So he has a right to appeal his sentence, in which he has now done. The grounds of appeal will be subject to legal review, and that's why you have the appeal court. Again, you might have a situation where this case will go to even the Supreme Court, depending on what happens, if we are not able to get a political solution to the matter. So we'll keep our eyes on his appeal, and we'll report report it as it comes.
We might have to double back, right? Because INEC did make a comment. Well, whilst we were talking about the Electoral Act at the start of the day, I was looking for that report, but I just found it now. Like, INEC making a comment about the delay is disrupting the poll timetable, because INEC is saying that they have the timetable and aspects of the general elections that would be affected by the Electoral Act. So how to proceed is what is going to be a problem for them.
INEC should not worry themselves. We have now seen that they have not really made any real adjustments to the electoral 2022. That will even destroy their timetable.
INEC is usually the scapegoat most times. INEC is usually
I know, but no, from what we've gotten so far with what the National Assembly have done, have they really touched any part of the 2022 that can really affect INEC's timetable?
Well, they did say that at the moment they are operating with the 2022 Electoral Act. And
I'm saying that INEC should not even bother themselves, because these guys have not even touched any critical aspect of the Electoral 2022 that could have really affected INEC's timetable if they decide to work with 2022. So they better just go on with what they want to do. The areas that Nigerians were hoping was going to affect the conduct of the election, for example, was never touched. For example, completing all election litigation matters before swearing in. That could have adjusted INEC's timetable to conduct the elections earlier than February and March. Nothing is said about that. To maintain what we did the last time. Yes, it is provided for, but it's not mandatory. So why is INEC should just these people look at people who want to touch anything that will really affect the way we did the last election. Let's just know that basically we are going to be dealing with what we faced the last time with our elections. That's it. What they've just done is to touch some. In fact, those areas are completely irrelevant in reality. Look at the areas they have touched now. Say, how relevant are they really? If you buy votes, they say they tell you we just reduce it to 2 years. Okay, INEC should, instead of 360 days, it should be 180 days to announce the elections. Okay, Kilojuku, tell me. And then they told you that we have not rejected electronic transmission of results. So people say we should make it mandatory. Let us continue their job, Terry.
Do you suspect voter apathy? Do you suspect that this would most likely trigger a worse voter apathy than we saw in 2023?
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Because again, with this information, a lot of people are going to ask themselves, so are we going to do the same thing we did in 2023? The last time in 2023, more than about 90 million was said to have registered, right?
Yeah.
And about 70-something million was said to have collected their PVCs. And the entire population that voted was around 20-something million, about 25 million.
Yeah.
So who says we might not even have lesser figures now? Because again, we have not even shown any intent to address the real concerns of the people about the elections. We've talked about holistic electoral reforms. They've been dodging it. They've been basically faffing around with the idea. And look at where we have now. So all of the back and forth, closed door meeting, review committee on electoral Kinikon. So this is what we have. And so what exactly have they done now? See.
I have no response, honestly. Well, as we wind down the conversation, there's not a lot of reports on the front covers. I think somebody bought out the front page to celebrate someone's birthday. Congratulations. I don't know. What? I don't know. Let me just finish with this one.
He's the man with capacity.
In the Punch. I mean, the print they have to, take care of themselves now. So we have concern over a rise in road traffic crashes and injuries across Nigeria in 2025, recording a total of 10,446 crashes nationwide, despite a marginal decline in fatalities. The FRSC Corps Marshal Shehu Mohammed disclosed on Wednesday, 1,000 in 2024 from 5,421 in 2024 to 5,228 in 2025, like a 2.4 decline in the amount of people that actually die in this road crashes. So there's still about 5,000 people that die, but road crashes across the country in that year was well over 10,000.
I think a lot of them, I'm sure the road safety people will have more information as to the cause of these crashes. Are they as a result of overspeeding, recklessness on the roads, which I think would be more of the reasons why we are having these crashes. People are just completely reckless. If you drive regularly on our roads, you're beginning to question our mentally stable. It's a result of the fact that maybe the vehicles are even faulty or the roads are bad. I'm sorry, a lot of the road crashes, if you do a critical analysis of what has gone wrong, you see that it's as a result of the fact that you just have people who don't value their lives. They're just completely reckless. You wonder, you are just crazy. And recklessness as a driver becomes a habit.
Yeah.
There are people who are reckless and they don't even know they are reckless. It has just become a part of them. And the sad part of the thing is that when you caution them, if it gets into them, they just double it up. In fact, there are drivers that the best way to just allow them to do whatever they want to do is for you not to even caution them. Because the more you tell them, give it for you, they just double it.
Users actually.
That's what I'm saying. And the sad part of the whole thing is that sometimes they cause these road crashes, they kill themselves, they affect other people, kill other people. You understand?
Yeah.
We are still talking about the Anthony Joshua issue. Somebody should still come and tell me that was not reckless driving. Yeah, the guy talks about he doesn't have a driver's license, blah blah blah. But this was a guy who has been driving the guy for years.
Yeah.
And there are also people who enjoy reckless driving. He driver fẹ́ wá àwọn para wọn ní sọ̀rọ̀, they like it too. And in fact, they'll be the ones who encourage the driver. Financy. If they don't like driver ringing. But the funny thing is that the fatalities can be crazy. In fact, I've had people say that look, once accidents happen and you die, sometimes I shouldn't do. What of being put in a situation where for life you are not even able to do anything for the rest of your life?
Right. Well, Fuatai, thank you very much for your analysis. We'll leave now so we can take commercials. At 8:40, we'll be back for Open Mic Thursday on Mainland Focus. I'm Sage Babalola. Please stay with us.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.